All right, it's time to talk with our featured guest, Jenn Stoll. Jenn, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. If you can, dive into real quick the difference between patients and consumers. Is there a difference or is it the same?
What I thought I would talk to you about today is really embracing the fact that patients are really consumers at the end of the day. They're the same. It's important for practices to embrace the consumer mindset in dental. What does that look like? What does that even mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all patients in some form or fashion, but we are consumers first. And there
Mhm.
are many benefits to understanding what the consumer mindset is and how that can be beneficial in dental.
Nice. Okay, so then we're going to discuss that, what it means for a practice to treat patients as consumers. But before that, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I've been in the dental industry for a little over 20 years now. I've been involved in marketing for over 27 years. I am the Vice President of Digital Commerce Excellence for Henry Schein. I am responsible for building best-in-class digital commerce capabilities, and TDSC is one of the portfolio companies that I work very closely with. I joined the Henry Schein digital revenue team recently from a Henry Schein One owned direct-to-consumer e-commerce business called dentalplans.com, where I was the chief commercial officer. And so my background goes very deep in selling to consumers, particularly patients who need dental care.
Perfect topic. So then let's ask the question, what does it mean for a practice to treat patients as consumers?
Treating patients not just as recipients of dental or medical care, but really individuals who are making choices based on their needs, on their preferences, and experiences. So it's important to view patients really as informed decision makers who value quality, convenience, and really just personalized service.
Okay, gotcha. So could you share a real life scenario from this where treating a patient as a consumer made a significant difference in their experience or in the relationship with the doctor?
The expectations that patients have today, they want convenience, they want transparency, and they want personal experience. And so it's important to have online appointment booking, telehealth options, minimal wait times. They want to feel that the healthcare that they have fits into their daily lives. And when it comes to transparency, they want to have clear information about their costs, what their treatment options are, and really what the expected outcomes are. They want to know what they're paying for and why. Consumers are trained to price shop. They have this savings mentality. And so because it is becoming more and more competitive, people have a choice. They can go to someone in your building next door. They can go to somebody down the street. They are more informed, making more informed decisions. And convenience, transparency, and personalized service are three expectations that are changing the game when it comes to what patients are looking for because they're really just trained consumers.
Gotcha. Okay. So then, have you ever seen, Jenn, pushback where you have told a practice owner or a dentist, hey, they're consumers, but then they tell you, no, 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 they're patients?
It's not that practices push back and don't agree that patients should be viewed as consumers. I think the challenge comes where it's hard to do these things. They can take an investment in people, in dollars, or even when it comes to personalized service, what patients may expect. Practices may have their waiting room full of people, and they don't have the time that it takes to give that one-on-one attention to have that personalized experience with every patient. And so it's really about finding the right balance of how much they're willing to invest either of their own time or of their practice's time in offering these solutions. And so there's technology out there right now that can do some of this for them. There's investments such as appointment booking, such as engaging with patients on their birthday or holidays. It doesn't have to be a handwritten personal note that is sent to their patients. They can have this software that not only sends appointment reminders and allows people to book online, but also engages for that more personalized experience in between appointments. So there are solutions out there. It's just a matter of making sure that practices don't feel scared off by the investment, either in time or dollars.
Yeah, because that can be a big thing. Investing with dollars. I feel like we see that right in front of us, and then it comes out of our account right in front of us, right? immediately as opposed to time. But they're both just crucial, right?
Whether it's a practice owner or a front desk associate or the office manager, conceptually, they understand that they're consumers too. And we see that at the TDSC side. So while we're a B2B sales e-commerce business, we still treat practice office managers as consumers as well, because they're looking for the same convenience, transparency, personalized service as we're telling them their patients are as well. So it's not just limited to patients, but we as B2B e-commerce dental supply business catering to practices also have to adhere to the same thing.
100%. So then what are the key differences between the traditional patient-provider relationship and a consumer-focused approach?
Really, the key differences between the traditional patient provider and a consumer approach is the fact that the traditional patient provider relationship typically makes decisions and the patient follows. It's focused primarily on clinical outcomes, potentially with less emphasis on the overall patient experience. So oftentimes there's limited communication and engagement outside of appointments. Whereas the consumer-focused approach emphasizes that shared decision-making, where patients are more actively involved in the care choices. So prioritizing the patient's overall experience, including that convenience, communication, and comfort, and having the ongoing engagement through digital platforms, personalized communications, and really follow-up care. That's the key difference.
Gotcha. Okay, so follow up and engaging throughout the whole process. Can you compare specific instances where a traditional approach failed and a consumer-focused approach succeeded in meeting a patient's needs?
For example, you have patients who are presented with treatment plans at the time of checkout, and they're given a laundry list of services that they need to come back for and get the work that they need to have done. In a traditional way, it may just be a piece of paper that they walk out with and may or may not come back. When practices have these patient engagement tools in place to follow up with the treatment plan that patient was presented with, there is constant communication with that patient to ensure that that person knows that practice is following up, reminding them that they have a care plan to come back for, communicating with them, and even trying to make it easier for them, the convenience side, emailing them to book the appointment right from that email. Maybe they don't come back right away. Maybe there's financial reasons that they're delaying their care. Their birthday or a holiday comes around and an email goes to that patient wishing them happy birthday, happy holidays, and they remember, I need to come back. I didn't get the work that I need to have done. One example is utilizing a patient engagement tool to get that patient to come back for the work that they need to have done without the office staff ever having to step in. Traditional is, here's your paper, come back and make an appointment, versus utilizing engagement tools to get that patient to come back for the work that they need to have done and making it easy for them to do that.
Gotcha. So it sounds like these engagement tools, we're slowly trying to close the gap, or we're trying to better forecast patient expectations with these engagement tools. We're guiding them to make the next appointment. We're guiding them to do some type of teledentistry, right? Strengthen the treatment acceptance that they might be getting when they come in, things like that.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, we as consumers are used to leveraging these tools for our everyday life. Booking restaurant reservations, as an example, booking other appointments. So we're starting to be trained to use these digital tools to really empower us as patients to really take charge of our healthcare decisions. And so making it easier for patients to do that and giving them access through these outreach engagement tools is one of the ways that we do that.
Nice. Okay. So then going with that, how are patients' expectations changing today?
Convenience, transparency, personalized service. So convenience comes in the ways that we just talked about: online appointment scheduling, telehealth options, and those minimal wait times. They want the healthcare to fit into their busy lifestyles without unnecessary hassle. And so that's really one of the ways that patients' expectations are changing. Transparency, we also talked about it. They want clear information about cost. They want to know what they're paying for and why. I just had this situation as a consumer. I had a repair person come to my house to fix something that was broken. And my biggest concern was I need to decide if it's worth it to pay the money to fix it, or do I need a new appliance? And that was where my brain was at, is I needed to know before being presented with fixing the solution, what my options were. And I think that's the transparency piece of it, reduces the anxiety around hidden fees. And that's no different in dental. So you see patients more and more because of the tools out there, because of ratings and reviews, because of more transparent access to fees. People are price shopping, even their dental care, even their dentists. And they have this savings mentality. They want to, especially if they don't have insurance or they've reached their maximum, they want to know how are they going to get the best deal, even on their dental care. And then the last is the personalized service, the value that providers who remember a patient's history or preferences, or who can take the time to listen to them, goes a long way.
How would a great practice today meet these needs for these new demands?
A few strategies for treating patients as consumers. So one, enhancing the patient experience. One thing, if they're not already doing, is looking at how they're welcoming people into their office environment. What does their waiting room look like? Another thing might be the importance of excellent customer service. Who do you have at your front desk and at the dental chair besides the dentist? How are those people talking and treating your patients? That's important. Personalizing that patient experience. We talked about trying to remember patient preferences with follow-up care. So even if you, the dentist, doesn't have time for that, each time, maybe asking your front office staff to write down something in the chart or in the notes so that next time you have something to follow up and connect with that patient. So strategies around how you could potentially enhance the patient experience. I would say leveraging technology, also really important. Online appointment booking, online scheduling, having that capability in your office is really important. People are expecting that. Having the ability to get reminders about your upcoming appointments. The role of patient portals just in general for accessing your health records and billing, that transparency piece is really important. And then, do you have a social media presence? What does your reputation management look like? Do you have one? Online presence is really helping influence patients' perceptions about your office. And when they're shopping, they're looking at your online presence versus potentially the person down the street. Transparency and communication, we talked a little bit about that, but being clear about treatment options and the costs and the expectation. That is really important for patients to understand what it is they actually need to get and how much it's going to cost them. And then a few others, patient education and empowerment, providing valuable information to help patients make informed decisions, whether it's offering educational content, there's blogs, there's videos, brochures, anything that helps build that trust and promotes the practice as a thought leader. And then last, I would say, but not least, is loyalty programs or incentives. Are there ways that you could offer loyalty programs or referral incentives that can help boost retention and attract new patients?
If that's right now what you recommend, Jen, then in the next 5 years, will these demands change, or how will these demands change?
I think the technology that we use will change. We see that with AI, we'll innovate. And I think our reliance on technology will be even greater than it is today. Our expectations to leverage technology as a consumer, as a patient, and certainly for the office will be greater. I think these key strategies won't change. Patient experience, transparency, and convenience, those won't change. It's how we meet these expectations that I think will continue to innovate and expand.
That makes a lot of sense. So as long as we have convenience, transparency, and personalized service in our social media and the way we manage our online presence, it will meet the consumer expectations instead of us saying, no, we're not going to change. This is our brand. We could do that with our brand, but with the convenience, transparency, and personalized service, that needs to continue to elevate.
And I would say it's not limited to social media. It should be part of your culture and your practice. Social media is just one of the tools to leverage those techniques and meet those expectations. But I would say having the convenience, transparency, and personalized service is important from the minute a patient calls your office, being inside your office and leaving. It's not just limited to them shopping and looking at your social media.
And you mentioned something about information, and I'm sure you've seen this, especially online, right? With patients having more access to information, how would you suggest we navigate the balance between informed patients and potential misinformation?
That's a challenge and an opportunity, right? So we as consumers have more access to information. So we're getting smarter, or we think we're getting smarter before our appointments or after we've been given a treatment plan. We do our research and we think we know more than we may know. And I can tell you, I'm certainly guilty of that. When I have access to my kids or my family's patient portal tests that may come in, I'm doing my research. I'm comparing the pre-test, the post-test. I am not a doctor. I am clearly trying to figure out what I think might have changed so that I can be more prepared and thoughtful when I do meet with a doctor with my questions. So I think there's a balance, being more prepared, being more aware, asking the right questions, but still relying on your physician, on your dentist to guide you into what you need to do and why.
Interesting. Now, when it comes to the convenience, transparency, and personalized service, TDSC, the dentist supply company, how do you embrace this for dentists and practice owners, for our listeners?
The consumer mindset is also important for B2B e-commerce businesses like TDSC. There are really changing dynamics in B2B sales in general, and that consumerization of business also affects online dental supply sales. So it's important that we treat dentists, practice managers, front office staff as those informed, value-driven customers as well. That's important to us. And so purchasers, whether they're the dentists or practice managers, they're expecting the same convenience, personalization, and seamless experience that they get from other B2C platforms. They demand transparency and pricing, ease of access to product information, and flexible purchasing options. We know that dentists are really increasingly making purchasing decisions based on ease of ordering, user-friendly platforms, reviews and ratings, similar to how consumers shop online. And we are doing this at TDSC by focusing on enhancing the online shopping experience. We are fast delivery, super important to our customers, competitive pricing, and we even offer more savings if practices belong to their state dental associations. And then most items that we have are in stock, which is not the case with some of the other online supply companies. So products sold on TDSC are from an authorized source. And so it's that convenience, getting fast delivery, competitive, transparent pricing, personalized service. They can call us, they can email us. And the fact that we are selling products from an authorized source is important. And so just a little bit of a plug, we talked about consumers and patients having that savings mindset. So we are offering practices, in addition to offering savings if you're associated with your state dental association, we're also offering listeners to this podcast an extra 25% off on TDSC for using TDM 25.
That's going to be amazing. TDM 25, 25% off on all your orders over $500. When it comes to the key strategies for treating patients as consumers now, and maybe you can also kind of speak on this with TDSC as well, but also in a practice setting, personalization, there goes a lot of detail into that, right? We want to make sure it's as personalized as possible. So that means everybody's experience is a little bit different, either 10%, 50%, all of it. How do you do that while maintaining efficiency?
That's a great question. And so it's not personalized where every single patient is treated differently. That's not scalable. I would say it's personalized in that patients want to feel like their practices know them and that they're not just there for this particular procedure and that they're not a procedure number or a patient number, but they're a patient. So it can be as simple as asking about your family, remembering next time that it was somebody's birthday or a life event, somebody got married. It's more that personalized experience through relationships, through engagement, not individual personalization for each person that comes in.
How do you train and involve your team in adopting a consumer-focused approach? And can you give an example of a successful team initiative?
It really depends on the office staff and the resources, both technology and people that an office has. For example, an office that already is leveraging patient engagement tools to reach out to patients after they leave in an automatic way, it might be a little bit easier for them and less labor intensive for a practice. But maybe for a smaller practice that may not have tools like this in place yet, and maybe it's the front desk coordinator and the dental hygienist and the dentist, for example, it can be as simple as making notes inside of a patient's chart about something you want to remind either the dental hygienist or the dentist to ask the patient about next time they're there. A little connection, human connection, can go a long way, and it makes patients feel connected to the practice, to the dentist, to the hygienist, to the front office staff.
So then this also comes in with a personalized service where a little bit more talking or building that relationship or rapport is involved in order to get something out that's not just like, hey, is this hurting?
Establishing a personal connection. And then this is where also when practices provide their patients with the ability to rate and give a review on the practice, you're much more likely to solicit reviews from patients after they've had a positive experience, not just clinically, but personally. It really comes full circle. So you're able to get that patient to potentially respond and give your office a review that maybe they wouldn't have taken the time to do. It also gets that patient back in the office next time because they feel really good about the experience that they had. And then you're potentially bringing a new patient in because they're seeing that review and they're feeling as if they are seeing these reviews, seeing this office has a really good reputation. And this is a practice that they want to choose over somebody next door. And so it's really a full circle process.
One of the last questions I wanted to ask you is the consumer focused approach. What are the benefits?
Increasing patient satisfaction and loyalty is probably one of the most important, getting patients to come back and tell other people. If you have the opportunity to have these patients give you a rating and review, it will go a long way, not just for that patient, but for other patients who are looking at your practice. So number one, increasing patient satisfaction, loyalty. I would say number two, also the positive word of mouth and reviews. And then that competitive advantage. People are shopping even when it comes down to finding the best dentist. Having that competitive advantage over somebody next door is key. And you'll get that with this consumer-focused approach. And then last, but certainly not least, is a financial impact. So increasing patient retention and reaching new patients, acquiring new patients through these tools, obviously will help your bottom line as well.
Speaking from your perspective, Jen, what are some things as a consumer, and we're just talking about like anybody, right? Any clothing store, wherever you like to shop, you're walking in the mall and you stop and say, oh, I'm going to go check that place out. And then what are some things where you're checking it out and you're like, oh, I don't want to purchase anything from here anymore?
I would say me and like most consumers, regardless of whatever it is they're shopping for, whether they're shopping, whether they're looking to go out for dinner, whether they're booking travel, looking to go on a vacation, it's all the same. People are looking for trust. They want to know, am I going to pay the right price? Am I going to get the best value? Am I going to have a good experience? Is there anything that I need to know about that? Are there any risks that I need to be aware of? And so when I'm shopping for products, I look at consumer ratings and reviews, whether it's about the product quality itself, whether it's about the retailer that I'm buying from, whether it's about help me determine, is this the right size based on whoever the brand is of product? We as consumers are really starting to rely more and more on this information to make informed decisions. And I think that's an important part of what we do on a daily basis with retail, but also equally as important when it comes to our healthcare and dental care.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Jen. It's been a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes. So come check us out, the Dental Supply Company, TDSC.com. And for those listening today, we have a little extra savings offer for you in the spirit of being focused on consumers. Here's an extra coupon for you called TDM25 to give you 25% off your purchase today. So TDSC.com, TDM25 is the code. Get 25% off your purchase and come check us out.
Nice. So that's going to be in the show notes below. Go shopping at TDSC.com. And then don't forget to use the coupon code TDM25 at checkout. And Jen, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
Thank you for having me. It was great.